It's the most wonderful time of the year. Minky Couture's holiday season is here. Wrap your loved ones in the gift of luxury with our softest, coziest blankets ever. Perfect for movie nights, chilly mornings, or those magical Christmas Eve moments. From kids to grandparents, there's a Minky for everyone. Shop our exclusive holiday collection now, in-store or online at minkycouture.com. But hurry, Santa's favorites won't last long. Minky Couture, making your holidays merry, bright, and oh so cozy.
Coming to you live from the Elliott Avenue Studios, this is The Barbershop. Brought to you by Trufant Auto Detail, the official auto detail provider of the Seattle Seahawks. And by the Trufant Family Foundation, an organization aimed at improving the community one kid at a time. With Marcus Trufant, here's T. Holla.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's T. Holla back in here at the Barbershop at you one more again.
And yes, it's Marcus Trufant. What up, y'all?
And we appreciate you guys for tuning in like you guys always do. Thank you very much. It's the Barbershop coming to you live from the iHeartRadio studios here in the heart of Seattle. We got a hell of a show lined up for you guys today. A little bit of controversy out there in the world of social justice and football. True. Jay-Z has made the news. And yeah, he signed a deal recently, and some people aren't real happy about it. We want to dig into that a little bit and get your opinion on that. Also, Antonio Brown, the diva wide receiver from the Oakland Raiders, is having some problems with the team. He's having some problems with his equipment, actually, true. And we want to talk about that a little bit. We in the second week of the NFL preseason. Our local Seahawks are getting the job done out there. They just had a game last night. We want to kind of dig into it and see what the Seahawks are doing. And actually on the way here, true, I came across a story, man, and as soon as I heard the story, it was blank starish to me, man. So I want to drop one blank stare news story before we get out of here, man.
Okay. Take it back. I like it.
Yeah, it's been a while since we did the blank stare news, man, so I figured we drop one, man. But before we go too far, man, it's been a little while since I saw you, man. How you been? It's been a lot of stuff happening in our lives over the last couple of weeks, I know, so... Man, what's been happening?
T, I've been good, man. The same old, of course, the fam, the kids, the wife and business. But things all right, T, I'm going to tell you what our family's doing.
Come on.
The summer is coming to a close, of course, right? So we got school coming up right around the corner. I don't know the exact date, but early September-ish. Mm-hmm. So we've just kind of been cramming, man.
You guys have been running.
The wife feels like the kids got to have these experiences and do all this stuff, which I support it.
Right.
I support it to a certain level, though. I don't want the kids to feel like they is working. That the kids is doing 2 days. That's pretty much what they're doing. They still got all they cheer and all that basic stuff, but then it's camps thrown in the mix. It's trips that's thrown in the mix, and then they gotta sleepovers and all this stuff with their friends. We just trying to squeeze everything at the last minute, and I've always been told that when you cram for a test, it don't come out good. So I just don't want to burn the kids out. So me and the wife is kind of going back and forth on that. But I say all that to say, T, it's been a busy summer. It's coming down and coming down to the end of it, and the school is about to start. And all 5 of the kids is going to be at school this year. So that's going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah. Cashman starting preschool?
Be starting preschool. So we'll be empty nesting for, 3 to 4 hours every day.
But here's the thing about preschool. First of all, is he going to go to full day or half day?
Half day.
Okay, so let me explain to you, because I've gone through. I don't really need to explain to you because you've been through it. But maybe some of our listeners out there have not been through it. So when you have a kid that is in preschool and they're doing that half day or whatever it might be, and people are like, oh, you're lucky you get the little 3 hour. Bro, it's not a lucky little 3 hour break, because it's not like, what do you get done in that window? You know what I'm saying? Like, I get a little window before I have to go back and pick the other kids up from school or be where they need to be, take them where they need to be, or be at home. And I got a little 3 hour window to do what exactly?
All you're doing is panicking before you got to go back and get the other kids. That's what I'm thinking about. Okay, probably pick them up around noon. The other kids is done about 3. So it ain't that much of a gap. But I think it'd just be good to get everybody out the house at the same time. And we'll definitely figure out the pickup thing. But it's going to be exciting. It's going to be good to see Lil Man doing his thing this year.
Yeah, speaking of getting out the house and doing stuff, man, I saw that you and the wife recently, this past weekend, went to the Nas concert.
Yeah, 25 years of Illmatic, baby.
25-year anniversary of Illmatic, the classic hip-hop iconic album, his initial debut album. He's been touring around the country to celebrate that, man. First and foremost, man, how was the show? Like, break it down for me, because the whole thing is iconic.
Right. The show was amazing. I went in and I kind of had this idea, okay, Nas has some hits, but when he's on stage and he's doing his thing, you forget of how many hits and how many albums that this dude got, man. And I was thoroughly entertained. There was a couple people in the suite. I'm not gonna name no name, and I said suite. I guess I'm big time and everybody. I was up in the suite, but I had good seats. I had good seats. Right. But some people is more about the I guess the Uchiwali side of Nas and the dance type of music. But I was there for the bars.
They went for the cypher?
I was there for strictly bars, so I was thoroughly entertained. It was good all the way through, man. I really enjoyed it, but I really forgot of how much music this dude had, and it was just like hit after classic after classic after classic. So it was good, man. It was solid.
So one thing, when I saw the pictures and I saw the videos and I saw the live stream, and I noticed that, when you normally see superstars to the level that Nas is, guys that have been around for 25 plus years and have had multi-platinum albums and have had world tours and so much success, you expect a certain thing when you see those guys come out on the stage, like a rock star, whole giant production. But it seemed like, to me, just from what I saw, it was kind of real hip-hop, like bare bones, like he came out in sweatpants and a T-shirt.
Sweatpants, a T-shirt, a DJ on stage, and he had a dude that was playing the drums. Which was probably his homeboy, because he really didn't need to do the drums. But he was
somebody a job.
Yeah. But I guess even with that said, because I usually don't like shows like that either. If you come and you ain't really got no flair and you just kind of on stage and you walking back and forth, I'm not really feeling that. But Nas, he brought it. Of course, he had a little screen up there and he had some background stuff, but it wasn't like a full stage. People like you see, did you see a Beyonce or somebody and they got the whole stage dances and they got fireworks and all types of Nas just came with bars, son. Yeah. Strictly bars, son. Yeah.
So like we talked about, it was he's iconic, Nas's first album for sure, Illmatic, was one of the all-time greatest hip-hop albums of all time. Being there in that element, I'm sure, like you said, was something magical, something special, especially if you really dig hip-hop music and bars, like you said, lyrics, and somebody who was one of the notorious best storytellers in all of hip-hop. I want to ask you this question. So Nas is probably on the top of the list for a lot of purists when it comes to hip-hop. When you go, I got to have that on my bucket list. Somebody that I want to see perform. Who are your top three, living or dead, whether it's hip-hop, R&B, rock and roll, country and western. I threw that country and western. Hell no. Entertainers, to see, living or dead. Like living or dead. If you had your top three list of people you were going to go pay money to see, who would it be?
Wow. Well, I seen Prince in concert, and that was later, so I could only imagine earlier in his career, probably when he had a little bit more flair and he was more at the height, I guess, of his career. But Prince was a show. I really enjoyed it. I went with my mom and dad, and that was great. Yeah, great. So Prince was heavy. I have never seen Michael Jackson in a concert, and I would have loved to see him in concert. I know there's a lot of controversy around MJ, but I want to see him anyway.
Right.
So, and number three is... Man, it's like I'm staying in Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder. I'm trying to remember if I seen Stevie. I feel like I have at like an outdoor.
But did Stevie see you?
Stop it! Stop! Don't you do Stevie like that. Don't you do him like that. But yeah, I think those are about my top 3, and that's just off the top of my head. And I know we went away from the Nas type of hip hop stuff, but I love Jay. I love Nas. I would have loved to see him Big too, but it's just one of those things, man. I'm going with icons on this.
There you go. There you go. You know what's crazy? When I was thinking about this, me and you are almost in the same boat right now.
Okay.
Because my top 2 that I would have wanted to see would have been Prince, number 1. From everyone I've talked to, they said his show was probably the best that they've ever seen. He puts on a hell of a show. Michael Jackson, of course, the world's greatest entertainer, regardless of what you might think of whatever he did outside of the realm of entertainment. He's the greatest entertainer as far as putting on a show, dancing and singing and putting together just an elaborate stage show. And then probably Tupac. I probably want to see Pac. And, I never had an opportunity to see him while he was alive, and I just think it would just be an iconic event to watch him do his thing up on stage. I was fortunate enough to tell you a story real quick. Back when I was a sophomore in college at UW, when you're in college, you don't have a lot of money. You don't know what's going on. Nothing. And, and we were real fortunate because, living out in Seattle, we got a lot of hookups. You know what I'm saying? So every time we would go out and stuff like that, they knew we didn't have any money.
Right.
So we tried to go to the clubs and stuff, and we didn't have ID, and they let us in, and, all that kind of good stuff, right? So my boy said we wanted to go to Tacoma to this concert.
Tech City.
Like, yeah, we wanted to go to T-Town, to the Dome. And I was like, man, I ain't got no money. And they was like, come on, man, well, you know how we do. We'll get in. So I go to this concert, not even knowing where we was going. We just know everybody's going to be there. It's going to be some girls there. And stuff like that, whatever, right? The concert was Biggie Smalls, Mary J. Blige, Jodeci.
That's heavy.
Craig Mack. It was just it was unreal. 20 years later to think all the icons that were, and they were at that time new names.
That's crazy.
To the point where I didn't even know where I was going. So yeah, though I think that was one of the most iconic shows I've been to. But again, if I could, Prince, Michael Jackson for sure, and Tupac. All my heroes are dead. All my concerts. My best years are behind me. I got nothing to look forward to. True.
Man, it's crazy, man. I was just riding in the car with the wife, and she was playing the Beatles, man, and I was just thinking of that these songs she was playing, I had only really listened to snippets of all these songs. You hear them on commercials and in movies, and these songs are all over the place, and they're still living, and it's crazy. But to actually sit back and listen to some of these songs, I didn't even really realize that they were the Beatles, though. Oh. So it's just kind of crazy how the music just lives on, and and it. I guess on the flip side, it makes you realize how crazy people are, because my man that was killed in the Beatles.
Oh, John Lennon.
Yeah. And that was, correct me if I'm wrong, though, that was by a fan, right?
Yeah, well, it was a fan.
Came into his house.
No,
right?
Right where I think it was outside of his apartment building.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways,
that's crazy.
It's crazy. It's a crazy world out there, man. But yeah, shout out to Nas, his 25-year anniversary of a classic album, Illmatic. If you have not downloaded or listened to it or ever or in a long time, go ahead and pop that thing in. I popped it in on the way over here. It was jamming, man. Had me feeling like I was in New York, son.
Hey, man, the Lost Tapes 2 is out, too.
I saw that, too.
I jumped on.
Yes. Speaking of Nas, another guy that is actually on the polar opposite end of Nas, a guy that Nas had a little beef with back in the day, Jay-Z, has popped up in the news recently. And some people think it's not for such a great reason. I kind of want to get your interpretation of it, and we can go back and forth on it, True. Jay-Z inked a deal with the National Football League, and a lot of the details are kind of still up in the air. Nobody really knows exactly the details of this deal. But Jay-Z owns a company, Roc Nation, and his company has partnered with the National Football League, and Jay is now in control of the entertainment that is associated with the National Football League, and as well the social justice arm of the National Football League. And there's been some controversy associated with, and he's taking some heat, not only from the fans out there and not just the people in the peanut gallery, but even some of the people that were actually involved in some of the social actions that were going on in the National Football League over the last couple of years. We're talking about Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reid, and they're really not too happy with the situation. Now, I guess we can just start off out the gate, True. What do you think about the whole deal with Jay-Z inking a deal with the National Football League and the other players, some of the players in the National Football League feeling that he is teamed up with the enemy?
Right. T, you know I love me some Jay, right? I mean, I feel like that's how I got through college, was these Jay
Jigga?
CDs, and we didn't even really have real conversations. I talk about this all the time. All we did was quote Jay lyrics back and forth to each other, and it was crazy. But I think with Jay doing this is unlike Jay. It's not Jay-ish. I know a couple weeks ago, we talked about things that were Drake-ish. But if you're talking about Jay and how he usually moves, he usually kind of moves in silence, and you really don't know or hear about it until the deal's already done, until it's a big thing has already happened. He's made a huge move, and now you're hearing about it. But this is kind of the opposite. Right when this thing is getting started, he's coming out, and they're making they're getting all this pub about it, but nobody really knows what's going on. So I think that's what's sending people kind of sideways a little bit. I'm gonna ride with him because I feel like his track record is already proven. I don't think he would go into this with any type of malicious intent and signing up with the enemy and all this kind of talk like that. Jay has been doing things on the back end and still is doing things now as far as getting people out of jail and doing all this kind of stuff to help our people, to help our community. So why would this be any different? I just have not a problem, but I don't know. It's just different for me. He came out and he's doing all this stuff, but it's not done yet and it's not finished. So it's always going to be people that's not going to like what you're going to do or not going to like exactly how you're doing it. But I take a lot of notes on Jay. I try to copy Jay every chance I get, you know, and of course in the business world because he's doing big things. But I think he's scaring people a little bit just by coming out like this and it just being so much gray right now. But I'm going to still ride with him until he shows me otherwise.
Well, I'm tell you what, man, I'm been completely confused. I've been completely confused.
I think a lot of people are, yeah.
But I'm going to tell you why I'm confused. I'm not confused by Jay and his actions because just looking at Jay over the course of his career, whether it be as a rapper or whether that be as a businessman, a mogul, a man that's in charge of numerous businesses, it's not often that you've seen Jay take a misstep. Like you alluded to earlier. I don't recall ever in watching his career blossom over the years seeing many missteps by Jay-Z. So why would we assume that this was a misstep? Okay, we look at what he's done over the past couple of years when it comes to the social justice, the social issues that are associated, particularly with the black community. I think he has been a great ambassador for the black community. I think if you think about all of the outspoken leaders that we have in our community as far as African Americans or black Americans, who do you know that's out there that's really putting their money where their mouth is and is really doing things for the community? Jay-Z is one of them. You look at what he's done as far as looking at a guy like Meek Mill. Meek Mill is the rapper who was on probation. They think they had him on probation for something like 10, 11, 12 years. He was on probation for a simple violation that took place when he was a kid. And then he got put in prison for doing a wheelie on a motorcycle. Popping a wheelie on a motorcycle. So, and he was locked in jail and could not get out. And Jay-Z didn't have to do anything, but he saw that was a social injustice. He would put his money where his mouth is, went out there and got the type of attention, and he went out and got some of the leaders in the National Football League to come and join his cause and get Meek Mill out of jail. He's been doing an incredible job trying to do prison reform. He's gone and put out documentaries for Trayvon Martin, Khalif Browder, the young man who was in prison wrongfully so in New York for like 3 years before he even saw trial. So Jay-Z has done a number, and I'm leaving out a number of things that he's done as far as helping the African American community. So I don't understand why people would think that this would be anything different. And then I hear that Colin Kaepernick, of course, is now he's a little upset about it. My question is, why would he be upset? What does Jay-Z and his dealings with the National Football League have to do with Colin Kaepernick?
Well, first I'll say that it's unfortunate that these two brothers or these two I call them powerhouses because they both kind of are leading the charge.
Right.
And of course you got to applaud both sides, but I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. And of course it's it's a thing about the divide and conquer.
Yes.
That's always going to be a part of the plan, but I would just go back to Jay-Z and saying that he's well thought out in everything that he's done in the past. So why would I think differently on this? I don't like exactly how it came out, but I can't see Jay doing something like this just for money because he doesn't need the money like that. Of course, everybody wants more money, but this would pretty much tear down everything he's done if he's going about this in a negative way. So I don't know exactly what's being said or what's going on behind closed doors as far as the details. I guess when you're talking about Colin Kaepernick and you're talking about Eric Reid, so they both are pretty upset about it. But in the end, I think they're going to come together and they got to make it work. I think if we're going to do something real and we're going to be real about it, I think both sides, I think they have to come together.
Yeah.
I don't think it works if they don't.
And I think they will. I just think it's unfortunate that they had to air their dirty laundry at this point. And I don't know if it was, just from some of the outside pressure, because social media is a monster, man.
Right.
And everybody has an opinion, and I think maybe it starts to weigh on you. And I don't really even know what people expected Jay-Z to do in this situation. Did they really expect him to come in? And
anything he said, I don't think that it would be the right thing.
Right. Yeah, and it's not like I think some people were thinking Jay-Z could come in and get Colin Kaepernick a job right out the gate. First of all, Colin Kaepernick, he and just lay it on the table. He was treated unfairly. He was blackballed. He has been blackballed. And he went to court. He litigated. He went and filed a lawsuit against the National Football League. And guess what happened? They settled.
Right.
They settled. So is Colin a sellout? Is he a sellout because he settled? I wouldn't call him that.
Some people called him that.
Some people did call him that. So why would he have the right to even look at Jay-Z? See, here's the problem. I think that we get so caught up in the action of protest. So for years, the last couple of years, National Football League African American players have knelt, right, and it caused a lot of controversy, caused a lot of people to be upset. The thing is, you can't kneel forever. I don't think you can. I mean, you can, but it's not progressing your movement if all you're doing every single year is kneeling,
right,
and not moving the ball forward.
I think that's what Jay is saying, right?
And I agree. And if that is what he's saying, that's what I agree. I think what happened with the kneeling brought enough attention to the causes that now we need to start moving the ball forward. We can't just kneel. We need to, like Jay said, have some actionable things go on here. Like, we need to have someone at the table. And that's the thing with the National Football League. If you just standing outside the building, shaking your fist at the building, that's not going to help.
Right.
Nothing is happening. You need to have somebody at the table with the powers that be that has an equal amount of power that can make things happen. Now, whether that's just going to be in the music area and entertainment area that's associated with the National Football League, that remains to be seen. But I think we should give Jay-Z some time to see what he can do with the entire situation, man.
No, I agree, T. I agree 100%. I think we need to let Jay work and do his thing, and everybody just need to come together, man.
Yeah.
And I know that's easier said than done, and I know there's a lot of emotions out there.
Yeah.
And people have been at this for a while, and as far as Colin and those guys, so they, I think it just comes down to teaming up. Like I said, I don't think it works, and I don't think the message is good at all. If these two, I guess how I call them two sides right now, are at odds, they really just need to come together because it looks nasty if it's not.
Absolutely. You get it together, baby. Make it work. We are all excited about the National Football League. We know that, this is an area that young men can go out there and change their family trees forever. They can make a huge amount of money. They can entertain. It's the number one sport in the country, if not, you know what I'm saying? People love it. And if we can move forward and get some of these social justice things fixed and get some equity along with equality in the league, I'm all for it, man.
Right. I do want to say one thing before we get off of it, T.
Okay.
Colin should be on the team, though.
He absolutely
After
should.
It's all said and done,
He absolutely should.
This man needs to be in a jersey and he needs to be playing.
But let me ask you this before we get off of then. After he's had as much controversy associated with him, not just the kneeling, so take that out. I mean, that happened.
Right.
And then he went on to sue the National Football League.
Okay.
And he obviously had something that they were like, okay, he got us. Let's settle. And so they settled for an allegedly undisclosed amount of money. How's that working relationship blossom moving forward? How do you put somebody on your roster, on your team, paying them that kind of money, and he has sued you?
Just like you said, they settled. It's supposed to be over and done with, right?
But I'm saying, so if you settle with somebody, maybe there's something in the literature of that settlement that says, hey, okay, we just going to part ways. We agree to part ways at this point in time. And, I mean, I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah,
obviously,
it could
there's
be
something there.
And we'll never know. I guess we'll never know. I said that he deserves a chance.
Yeah. And I agree with that, because right now they're pulling people out of the retirement home, man. Like literally,
right?
I think what's his name, McNown, just got picked up, and he had just like, I'm done. I retired 17 seasons. I'm spending time with the family now. And like 2 months later, he's like, I'm back.
Yeah.
So Colin Kaepernick definitely needs a job, but who knows if he'll ever get one. I know a couple people that do have jobs. Russell Wilson. He got a job.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf, he got a job. Bobby Wagner got a job. And those are some of our local Seahawks here. Like we've talked about, the season is underway. Second preseason game was just last night. The Seahawks lost last night to the Minnesota Vikings. The thing about preseason, True, and I just speaking from a fan point, it's just not a lot of times that interesting. I mean, to be honest, I mean, here I'm gonna tell you how I love football. Right. I love it, and so I watch it any way I can, and even the preseason, I watch it with intent. But it's just a little bit different now for me, now that I'm a little older, a little longer in the tooth. I know when I was just fresh out of college, I used to love this time of preseason. Why? Because the guys that I used to play with for the last couple of years, they're just now getting their opportunities, their first opportunity to play in the National Football League. They're trying to make these teams. And so I'm watching the games. I'm like, oh, that's my boy right there. I hope he gets to play. Or I played against him and da-da-da-da. And then, you start getting 5 years out, 10 years out. I'm like, I don't know none of these people. Right. Yeah, but we're at that part of the season where a lot of these young Seahawks are trying to make the team. I think they're going to break down the roster next week.
Already? Damn.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the first cut.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Have you been watching any of the preseason at all?
I've been watching a little bit, T. I've been watching a little bit, and you say they lost the game, and of course I watched a little bit, and I saw the energy out there, and the Hawks was leading, so I did turn it off. Turn the game off, and I look up. I see the Hawks lost, but that's the preseason. And I mean, of course it doesn't count, and they're trying to fail everybody out. So the games be up and down like that. But I did watch, man, and I still see guys out there like Deshaun Shedd. I mean, I played with him, yes, I did play with him, but as a rookie, I think. So I still see a couple of my guys out there, just like you said, you getting a little long in the tooth. I'm doing the same thing, man. I'm walking around with a tight back right now. So, the preseason I think is good, man. I think it's good for the fans, and just like you said, for guys to look at it and be like, okay, I see him out there. I think I can do that too.
Right.
And you're talking about people that got dreams of playing in the NFL, guys in college, guys that are at small schools and different stuff like that. You see all these different people that really don't even have a name yet, and they're out there and they're living out their dream. It may only be for one game, but you make it to the top. So I think that's the good thing about the preseason. Of course, for the fans, it's not as entertaining because you're looking for that star power and all those guys to be out there, but it comes. But I think it's good for the longevity of the league.
I think so too. I know a lot of people, a lot of the players, they were wishing that there weren't so many preseason games. I don't know if that was the case when you were playing. You guys weren't so hyped up and didn't want to be involved. You had guys in their sunflower seeds and they gum and they little stuff on the sideline, and you ain't even really want to go out there and. But you knew you had to do it, though. Every year was the same thing, and you knew around preseason game number 3 that I was going to be the real
test, if you call it that, and you would come back after halftime and you would usually play one series if you had a good series.
Yeah. So a couple of the questions that people had about the Seahawks team leading into the season, and then I think the preseason was meant for that, to answer some of the questions that you had about your team, try to fill some of the holes, fill some of the spaces, some of the question marks that you have. These Seahawks had some questions around the defensive line. Of course, their superstar guy Frank Clark was traded before the season started. They were trying to find out who was going to make up for the pass rush that he provided over the last few years that he was in town. They went out and drafted a young guy, L.J. Collier, and he's been hurt. He's hurt. He has a high ankle sprain. He's been out in the entire preseason. They're hoping to get him back for the first game of the season, but that's a big question mark for these Seahawks. Eric Reid, who is suspended for the first 6 games of the season as their defensive tackle, so there's going to be a question mark there. They were looking at going out and getting the guy that's on the free open market. I don't know what they were thinking about it, but the discussion around the city has been going out there and looking to see who's out there on the free market. Jadeveon Clowney.
Mm-hmm. And I heard that. Yeah.
He's a big guy that's unhappy down in Houston, and he's trying to get out of town. I think that would be a good pickup for these Seahawks if they wanted to go out there and test the waters, man. Get somebody in here like Jadeveon, who was an all-pro.
Right.
Big, giant, 6'5" guy, 265, 270-pound guy coming off the edge. I think that would be good for these Hawks, man.
Yep. I mean, think anytime you can get a freak on your team like him, that size, speed, and everything, and not even playing the game, you just look at his numbers, you gotta account for that on offense. But just overall about the defensive line, I think this defense and maybe even this team goes as far as D-line goes, because you got a lot of you don't have new guys in the secondary, but you got guys that are growing in to themselves. I guess they're young, they're talented, but there's no more Deions out there that are just going to shut down the whole side of the field. I don't really think that exists anymore. Compare it to the NBA, you got scorers out there that it doesn't matter if you have the best defender on the other team on you, if this guy's going to put up his numbers, all you can do is try to make it as hard as possible. So that's where the NFL is going with as good as these quarterbacks are, where as good as these wide receivers are. You have to have a pass rush because nobody is going to be able to just lock anybody up and shut them down. I don't think. Well, I mean, I haven't seen it in a while. So I think the D-line has a tall order, and they got some big shoes to fill. And but if they can put it together, I think this team, it does well. Yeah, you talked about high-powered offenses and quarterbacks and these big-time receivers that are out there around the league doing big things. The Seahawks went out there in this past draft and picked up a really big receiver. We've talked about him on this show several times, DK Metcalf. He's a big, giant target of a receiver, 6'3", 230 pounds, running a 4.33. 4.33.
Yeah,
God.
Yeah, it's crazy with allegedly under 2% body fat.
Right, allegedly.
Allegedly, man.
Right.
Because I've always been under understanding that you start getting down into 2% and 1%, like you on the edge of death. Like that's starvation mode, man. That's not healthy. That's not good for you.
Hey, man, something in the water, I guess. These young boys is getting bigger, getting faster every year, man, and that's just goes back to what I'm saying, man. It's hard to lock this thing down in the secondary, and they changing the rules. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't hit them here. You can't hit them there. So it's all about the pass rush, man. And if you can get a good pass rush, and I think that's why these boys is getting paid up front, man.
Yeah,
so
those are the guys getting
that's
paid.
what it comes down to. Yeah.
So speaking about big-time receivers in the National Football League doing big things, Antonio Brown has been a long-time, big-time, big-name receiver in the league, and he's on a new team this year, the Oakland Raiders. Or they're not even are they still the Oakland Raiders, or have they gone to Vegas yet? I think they're still they're the Raiders.
We just call them the Raiders.
Right. Yeah. So Antonio Brown he's with the Raiders organization, but he's been acting like some people might call it a diva, right? You thought I was going to say what I was going to say?
I thought you was going to say a Mitch.
He's a little bit. Yes, he kind of has been. So here's the deal. So I don't know if you saw the picture of his feet. Did you see his feet?
I did, yeah. The dogs was barking for real. Yeah.
If you guys have not seen it, we're gonna post a picture of it on our Twitter page. True, it's Barbershop Show _ on Twitter. Barbershop Show _ on Twitter. Man, his feet, like, it's a whole layer of skin just tore off of it. It's the nastiest thing. I guess he got some kind of frostbite doing some cryogenic therapy on his legs, and it held his feet in there too long without any protection.
Right.
And so, okay, whatever, that got fixed up and healed up, but he still wasn't showing up to camp, didn't show up to practice. And the reason was he wanted to wear his old helmet. His helmet that he'd been wearing, I guess, since he'd been in the league. And, of course, over the last couple of years, with the collective bargaining agreement and some of the things that they're trying to do in the National Football League with making the game safer, they've made the players change out helmets. They made them get these new technologically advanced helmets that are allegedly supposed to reduce concussions and head injuries. And Antonio said, no, I don't want to wear that helmet. I want to wear my old helmet. This new helmet, I can't see as well in this helmet, man. So he wasn't going to practice. He wasn't going to camp. He wasn't doing nothing.
Right.
What do you think about Antonio Brown, man, and doing this?
So let me ask you this first, T. So when you go to a grocery store and you see a kid that's on the ground and he's kicking and screaming and he's falling out and he's throwing, some groceries all over the ground, and the parent is sitting right there. You blame the kid or you blame the parent?
Well, a little bit of both, but mostly the parent. Yeah,
okay.
Like, you need to control your child.
So, what do you think Mr. Gruden is doing right now?
I mean, I think from what I've seen in the media,
right,
he's not too happy with Mr. Brown right now. At least the front.
Is he scared though? Is he scared to speak up out about it, or?
I'm gonna flip this and throw it right back at you, True, because you are the only person in this room that has been in the National Football League.
Okay.
And we've talked about this before.
Right.
Some people allegedly get different treatment than other people. Now, if you have who is arguably the best or one of the best receivers of this generation on your roster, do you give him as much leeway as somebody who's just trying to make your team, or do you kind of say, hey, you get a little bit longer leash?
That's what I'm saying. So I think the coach has given him that leash or that extra rope, and I think he knows that. So to be honest, hey, if you could do it, and I hope ain't no kids that's learning the game of football that's hearing this, but if you can do it at the pros and you can be in charge of pretty much, any and everything that you're doing, take it.
More power to you.
Take the opportunity, even though it may not be for everybody. I wouldn't do it. I don't come from that, but it has worked for him. This probably ain't his first rodeo at acting in this way, and he's gotten this far, and this is what he does. Everybody's different. I've been saying that for a long time. Everybody got a different personality.
Right.
People go about things in a different way, so this is how this man does it, and some people is ticky-tack. They're
you don't say.
Socks got to be a certain way. Their shoes got to be a certain way. They do everything the same every single day. And this guy's been putting up numbers for years and years and years. And I know it's about safety, but if the man loves and likes his helmet, I know the NFL has a liability if this guy's playing with an old helmet that's outdated. You got to change your helmets. I got a youth football team, and we got to change out the helmets every year.
I got to tell you this, True. And, it goes into what you were saying, how everybody's different. And, he has, done what he's done. He's made his own bed so that he's the best wide receiver in the game in the last 5-6 years, right?
Right.
So he's earned a little bit of leeway allegedly. I just think back to last offseason. I watched a video. He was doing an interview where he was saying that he doesn't need the National Football League anymore.
That's when he had the blonde mustache.
And this is exactly where I was going to. I'm painting the picture for our listeners out there. Basically, Antonio Brown said last season, he doesn't need the NFL. He's got enough money. I got all the money I need. You see this house right here? It's paid for. I have businesses. I have this. I have that. I don't need this money. I got money. I'm rich. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in control of the Antonio Brown business. And so when I saw this, I thought that's what he's doing. He's flexing. He's he's in control and showing his control, and basically being like, hey, look, I don't want to practice.
Right.
I don't want to go to practice today, man. I'm cool. I don't need practice. I'm gonna blame it on my helmet.
And you know what it comes down to, T? If everything he said is true, that all this is cash and I don't need the money, I don't need the game, there is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
The culture of football players in particular, when you make it to the NFL, this is team ball, it's family, it's this and it's that. It's a business.
Yeah.
It's definitely a business. So a lot of organizations, a lot of coaches, brainwash, or they get players to drink the Kool-Aid.
You have to buy in at some point, right?
And that's what good teams do if you can make it work. But when it comes down to it, it's only on one side it works like that. Because if you're on the business side of it, you're here today and you're gone tomorrow. So Antonio Brown, like I said, more power to you. If you can get away with it, if you can produce, and if you can make it happen, go out and do it. Everybody can't do it, though. Everybody cannot do that.
You're right.
And, I'm going to be clear about that. But some guys get a longer leash. He's doing it. He's done it. And he's a great player. And he seems to be like one of those guys that when he's out there practicing and in games, he's going 100%. It's nothing that's going to hold him back.
Yeah. So he said he would walk away from the game. He doesn't need the NFL. The NFL needs him. But true.
The game needs him. I like that. I like when people talk that talk because I don't do it, but I like it.
But that's what I'm saying. But true.
Yeah.
$30 million guaranteed this season. Yeah. You walking away?
Me?
Yeah.
Nah.
Is Marcus Trufant walking away?
No. No. I got plans, and it involves that $30 million.
Hey, man, I'm not walking away either. You be a fool, man. But, hey, more power to him. Listen, True, when I was on the way in here, I came across a story, and I know I didn't tell you about this, but I think it's time that we do a blank stare news story before we get out of here. Just one, though. Just one for the road since we haven't done it in a while. And for those of you who may not know, blank stare news is that story that you may have heard this week, whether you were at work or just browsing around online or somebody told you, and it was so wild and so crazy that you had a blank stare just come across your face, and the music in the background was just like something that you can't even hear right now. That's the blank stare news. True, I got to tell you this story, man. So it comes to us out of Rochester, New York, and it struck my attention because I know you've been traveling a lot this last few weeks. I've been traveling as well, so you know what it's like going in and out of the TSA lines and the security checkpoints and all that stuff, right? So this young man, Neil Strassner, was going through the airport in Rochester, New York, going through the security. Had taken off his shoes, taken off his belt, put all his stuff through the conveyor belt and all that good stuff, right? And then the lady that was the security guard, the person who's supposed to be responsible for checking you out, making sure you don't have any guns and drugs and bombs and all that stuff, right?
Right.
As he's passing through the little X-ray line, she hands him a note, a folded note. And he just looks at the folded note, and he kept going to get his belongings. And then she turned around and says to him, "Open the note." So in this very tense moment at the airport in security line, what do you think the note would say to this young man as he was passing through security?
Well, it is 2019, and everything's equal, men, women. So she might have been pitching woo, right?
Well, I mean, that sounds
she might have been putting the bid in, be like, if you ain't doing nothing, you got a layover, I'll meet you at the bar, or so as
the kids would say these days,
right.
Shoot your shot.
Shoot your shot.
She thought she was shooting a shot right there.
Mm-hmm.
You would be wrong.
Okay.
She handed him a note, and the note had two words on it. And those 2 words basically were...
You ain't got no alibi. You ugly. What? You ugly. You ugly. You ugly. Your mama said you ugly. U-G-L-Y-N. You ain't got no alibi. You ugly. What? You ugly. Your mama says you ugly. Hey.
Hell nah, T. Come on. Nah. I'm not buying it.
Bro.
No.
Oh, hell no.
She handed this man a note that said, "You ugly." Those 2 words, "You ugly!" exclamation point, man.
In New York?
In New York.
They playing games like that?
Bruh.
And those airports out there is pretty tense, too.
You would think so. Like, I've never been there, but to get just out the blue, she handed him a note that said, "You ugly, man." So the moral of the story is, so he gets to the end of the line, and he reads the note, and he's like, "What the hell is this?"
Right.
And so now he's offended, and what does he do? He calls the bosses.
Okay.
He calls in. And
Right.
like, look, I don't know what happened, but this lady handed me a note that says I'm ugly.
Right.
And then he filed a report and requested the video surveillance. So the video's available online.
Damn.
It shows this woman
Got her.
hand him the note.
Hopefully it ain't one of us. Is it one of us?
It's one of us.
Damn. Come on.
It is a black lady.
Oh, hell no.
And so you know what happened after that.
She's fired.
You fired.
You fired.
You are
Damn, that's
fired.
too bad for being silly on the job.
Dog. So that dude, when I saw that,
I mean, is weed legal out there?
it's just ridiculous, man. Like, why? In your mind, why would you even start to do that, man?
She took too long of a lunch break. Probably got on some
Some of that
extracurricular.
stuff?
Yeah, some of that good stuff. Came back laughing and smiling. She would have seen dude. It was like, this dude
Is ugly.
is ugly.
She was probably, you know what it was? She was showing out.
She
And
was
that's
showing out.
disorganized. Man, I hate to be the old man, but man, this generation, man, doing too much for the clout, man. Clout chasing, as they call it, right? She trying to show out for her friends, like, I'm finna talk, man. You ugly. I tell him. And look what it got you. You had a good job.
And
you had benefits. You can get your teeth fixed in your mouth. When your blood pressure, you could go to the doctor and get that taken. You had a 401k. Now you ain't got nothing.
You know what? I wonder who was the gas man. I wonder who was giving her that
Gassing her up?
octane that was just pumping her up and was like, "Do it.
I would blame.
I dare you. I dare you.
Somebody-
No, you won't. No, you
Bet
won't.
you won't.
Yeah, come on.
As somebody
man.
who still got their job,
Yeah.
and they laughing at your dumb ass
That's a damn shame.
On
And they're gonna be telling that
unemployment.
story for years to come. It's
Forever.
gonna be an urban legend.
forever. The girl that wrote that "you ugly" letter, man, golly, true.
Jay-Z.
What's up? It's showtime.
You know what time it is, man. We got to get out of here, man. Thank you guys for joining us on another Barbershop Show. It's been a blast, as always, man. True. Where can they find us at?
Barbershop Show _ on Twitter. Barbershop Show on Instagram. Hit us up.
That's right. So until next week, you can also follow us, man. Subscribe to this show right here on the iHeartRadio app or on iTunes or anywhere you get your podcasts, man. And make sure you don't miss any shows. Until next week, though, it's T and True. And it's the Barbershop.
The side of your dome, come out of my throne. I got this locked since 9-1. I am the truest. Name a rapper that I ain't influenced. Gave y'all chapters, but now I keep my eyes on the Judas. With Hawaiian Sophie fame, kept my name in his music.